How many of you feel like you already know what to do? You've read the posts, you've listened to the podcasts, you've saved the tips, and yet you still don't always do the thing. Can anyone relate to this? Just drop a me in the chat if that's something that you can relate to. This was definitely me in the past, so I'm completely familiar with this and I know how frustrating it can be. And as people start to filter into the room, I'd also love to know, where are you tuning in from? It's nice to get a feeling. Yeah, Sarah says me. It's nice to get a feeling of where we're all connected from. I'm in Burlington, Ontario, in Canada. It's close to Toronto-ish, about 30 minutes away. And I've been here for my whole life. So I'd love to know. Oh, Sarah's from Tennessee. We have Bruce from Colorado. Awesome. It's so exciting to see, since I've joined Meetup, a lot of Americans come on, which I find very interesting. North Carolina. Yeah, a lot of people coming from different parts of the world. And many of these places I've never been to. I've never been to Tennessee. I've never been to Colorado or North Carolina. So it's interesting to connect with different people. And so we've got two, I think at least two me's. So when it comes to the question of, have you ever felt like you know what to do and you just aren't doing it? And it's frustrating because you can do all the things, you can take all the learnings, you can take in the podcast, save the tips, and it can make us feel like, is something wrong with me? When you know all the things and you're just not taking action. But what if that's not true? What if the problem isn't you? What if the problem is the pattern that your system is running underneath? The pattern that's keeping you going in the same direction, even though you want to change. And that's what we're going to look at today. It's so frustrating because it makes you feel like something is wrong with you, as I mentioned. And hi, my name is Kate. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit here because, as I said, it's nice to know who you guys are and it's why are you listening to me? And so I'm a health practitioner, I'm a holistic nutritionist, I'm quantum nutrition testing, which is like frequency testing. I've done that in the past for people. And all of this started because of my own need. Because 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with MS, which is a critical illness, and I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know where to go from there. I was a kid who was born into a family that said medicine is the answer. If there's something wrong with you, you go to your doctor and they'll fix it. And so I did that until it didn't help, until I started getting worse. And that's when I got to the point where I realized I had to look for different options. I had to start digging deeper and figuring out the beliefs that I had, like that belief that medicine is the answer to everything. I need to start exploring these things and start kind of looking for different routes and different options. And if you had told me 20 years ago that I would be a holistic nutritionist now, I would have told you you were crazy because I was a very science-minded kid. And so that's the route that I always went. Not only that, I'm now a hypnotist and I use NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and do a lot of the mindset side of things, because what we often don't think about or consider, and is a big part of what we're going to talk about today, is that the unconscious mind controls 90 to 95% of what we do on a daily basis. When was the last time you had to tell your heart to beat or your lungs to take a breath when you needed air or oxygen? These things happen automatically. And so if we can tap in and recognize where those patterns are helping us, which they do in a lot of different ways, but they can also get in our way. And that's where we can start to make changes, which is pretty cool. So let me have tech issues as I always do. Okay. So it's not random that these things are going on. It's not random. You don't just fall off for no reason. Think about it like this. It's like you're watching the same movie, but there's different actors. You already know how it ends, but when you're inside it, it feels new. And this is the part that most people miss. There's something where something shifts. And if you don't see it in the moment, you'll keep repeating it over and over and over again. And I'm curious, where have you noticed this pattern show up for you? Where have you noticed things that just keep repeating over and over again, even though you think that something's different? I've definitely witnessed this for myself. I've witnessed it for friends, for family, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to health challenges, when it comes to starting something new and not finishing it. A lot of the weight loss clients that I work with, they come in and it's the same thing. They're like, I've been trying all these different things. It worked for my friend. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do, and then it didn't work for me. And this is the loop that we'll just keep writing or repeating until we recognize it and we interrupt it. And so look at that. Any comments in the chat? Oh, I lost my chat. Told you I'm not a tech genius. Oh no, okay, I didn't. So does anyone have any experience of this, or have you noticed any times where patterns have repeated for yourself in health, in relationships? Just drop in the chat if there's an area that you can think of where this has been a thing for you. As I said, this happened with me in so many different ways. Like I remember from a health perspective, I was like, there's got to be something wrong with me because I was doing all the things my doctor was telling me. And I thought maybe it's just the doctor. I need to find a different doctor. So I'd find another one and it would be the same cycle again. I've done it in relationships. And something that's interesting that often comes up working with clients is the recognition that, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but I'm just going to share my story. The realization that what was mirrored and modeled to me when I was a child in terms of what a normal relationship looks like. My parents divorced when I was 4. And so things not sticking out, things not making it and lasting is something that was modeled to me young. And essentially, I dated and had that same pattern show up in my own relationships for the first 30 years of my life until I started to recognize that this was a pattern. This was a pattern that I was repeating and it kept coming back. Now I'm very happily married, but it takes time to realize those things and then you can start doing things differently. So before we go any further as well, I'm going to have Valerie drop a link in the chat for you. And I want to set this up so you can actually get the most of this meetup today. You're going to recognize things in yourself today. And later, you're going to think, wait, what was that part again? I get feedback and messages every time I talk about these things where people are like, oh, what did you say? I can't remember. Many people will feverishly take notes when I'm talking about these 5 patterns that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to create a summary for you so that you have everything all together. I'm also going to attach the replay to it because to go through it and hear it once can be very useful and powerful. To be able to go through and actually take notes and hear it again is often when things land in a different way. So make sure you click the link. Fill out the form and I'll send you the replay. My intention is to send it within the first couple of hours after this training today. So you'll have the replay and you'll also have the summary here as well. And so the link is in the chat. Make sure you grab that because this is the kind of thing that often lands different and lands deeper a second time. So, okay, here's what's actually going on underneath it all. There's a pattern that actually drives your decisions, every decision that you make. The decision that you make when it comes to choosing your career, choosing your partner, choosing any of the goals that you go after in your life, whether it works or doesn't work, this is going to be very much connected to why those things happen. And most people never see these. I didn't either in the past. And once I started to understand this, this is why I love talking about this topic because it's fascinating. And you will start to see it everywhere around you. I was at a networking meeting this morning and I know this community quite well. We go every week and do meetings together and I see these patterns in each of the people in this community. And I'm actually having a conversation with a few of them to help them understand why business is going well in certain areas and not in others. And it's a communication breakdown essentially because their patterns are clashing with the customers or with their coworkers' patterns. And so if you have relationships in any way in your life, that could be romantic relationships, that could be with your children, that could be with coworkers, with business related people, any of these situations, being able to understand how to kind of notice patterns in other people and respond to them differently is huge. It's it makes your life really cool. So these are the patterns that drive every decision that you make. And as I said, most people never see them. And I call these drivers. They shape what feels safe to you and what doesn't. Your drivers shape what feels safe to you and what doesn't. They also shape what feels safe to every other person on this planet and what doesn't. And once you can start to understand this and recognize this, it's pretty cool how communication really improves. Okay, so as we go through these, don't try to figure it out perfectly, just notice what feels like you. Okay? Number one is freedom. This is the person who wants options. This is the person who doesn't like to be told what to do. This is the person who, if I'm working with a client and I give them the perfect meal plan as a nutritionist, in the past, one of my biggest frustrations was that some clients would do phenomenally and some wouldn't, and I didn't understand why. And when I give like a specific, here are the things to do, here are the steps to take, things like this is how many days you have to do it, very well thought out, very well laid out plan to a freedom person, they often stick with it and commit to it for a little bit, and then all of a sudden they're changing their meal plan. And all of a sudden they're altering the strategy, the technique that we've both talked about and worked through. This is a perfect example of a freedom person. We're going to go, so imagine that you're going to a party. Think about it like this. You're going to a party and you're inviting a freedom person. And you say to them, we're going to go to this one spot, and that's where we're going to stay all night. There's nothing else around. But the DJ is really awesome. They're already out. They like options. They like flexibility. They like things to be kind of changing consistently. But if you say to this person, we're going downtown, there's going to be a bunch of different places. Basically, we're going to jump from place to place and experience all these different things, and you can go wherever you want. The freedom person is completely interested if this is the situation, if this is the party that you're presenting to them. The moment that something feels limiting, the freedom person pulls away. Where in your life do you resist structure, even when it would help you? This can be an indicator for you that the freedom part of you is being a little bit triggered here. So just notice what shows up here. Oh, I should also say, of these 5, we all have all 5 of them. But associating, figuring out what your main one is and what your secondary one is can be very beneficial. So freedom. There we go. Okay. Next is almost the kind of flip side of the same coin. This is security. Security likes certainty. So as I said, if I give a client this like very specific nutrition plan where it's like, this is the number of days you'll have to do this, this is all the different steps, this is everything you're going to have to do, this is something that lands very well for a security person. This one is different. This person wants certainty. They want to know what's going to happen. So think about the same party. If you said to the freedom or the security person, we'll just figure it out as we go, they are not going. No, thank you. I'm out, says the security person. But if you say we're going here, we have a table reserved, it's totally safe, we know who's going to be there, now they feel good. Now the security person is all in. This is totally their kind of party. When things feel unclear, they hesitate. So where do you hold yourself back? Because you don't feel safe or you don't feel fully sure yet. Just notice. All right, this is number 3. This is me to a T. This is belonging. This one's a little bit me. Sorry, I thought we were on to the next one. This is belonging. This one shows up a lot, especially in women, especially in my autoimmune clients. This is the one who often is doing everything for everyone else. And it often goes back to a very young age. I mentioned a bit briefly, kind of, when I was 4 years old, my dad left. And from that time, I thought it was my responsibility to take care of everyone else. I thought my needs were secondary, and making sure everyone else was okay was the number one thing that I needed to do to feel safe and to feel supported. And this is belonging. This is a characteristic of a belonging person. This is about connection. This is about feeling accepted. And think about a moment where you were about to say something, and then you noticed, how might it land with other people? What might other people think if I say that? And so instead, you softened it, or you don't say it at all. When that feels at risk, you adjust. If you're a belonging person, if belonging's your main driver. And so, where are you holding yourself back? Are you ever avoiding something that might make someone else see you? So, from the party metaphor, the belonging person, what is the main question that they're asking before they agree to a party? Anybody? The main question is who is going to be there? Because if I said to them, like, oh, we're going to this place, it's going to be amazing, but you know what? All of our friends are going to go somewhere else, but the music is just going to be off the charts. Like, you're going to love it so much, but they don't feel accepted and as if they're belonging in that situation. Maybe there might be people that won't like them. They're out. They're not going to go. So just notice this in yourself. Notice if this is something that lands for you. My slides are not working. There we go. Okay. This one is me. So, for a lot of people, this is a big one, and this is competency. You want to feel capable. You want to do things well. Think about something you've been meaning to start. And then this thought shows up. What if I don't do it well? So instead, you wait or you don't start at all. Ask yourself where you're avoiding starting because you might not do well. And so for the competency person, when we're talking about the same kind of party metaphor here, a party where the competency person is going to feel like they're not contributing, like they're not giving anything back to the situation, that's somewhere where they're not going to be interested in going. Somewhere where their knowledge and their abilities are challenged or threatened, that's also somewhere where the competency person is not going to want to go. So that's number 4. And the number 5 driver is self-expressive. This is actually one that I see a bunch, but in my world, in terms of clients, I don't see it as much as most of the other ones. But self-expression is about being you. This is the client that comes in and says, no one understands me. No, I'm wrong. I do see a bunch of no one understands me when it comes to clients, or like they want to be not average. They want people to realize and recognize that they are not average. They are not the same as everybody else. Think about something that made sense, but it didn't feel like you. This is the kind of person that wants people to recognize that they're unique, that they're different. And so the self-expressive person, if we told them we were going to a party and it was just like an average thing, we're going to Applebee's but they have half-price chicken wings. So it's going to be great. But the music is like dull and repetitive and no one's going to notice that you have this unique style or that there's something special about you. There's no way that they're going to feel special. They're not going to want to go. But if you told them, oh, you know what, we're going to go to this other place. There's this DJ coming in and it hasn't even dropped in North America yet, but it's going to be like top of the charts in 3 months, 6 months. But by then we're going to be over it. And it's going to be just really, that's the kind of thing the self-expressive person would be like, get me on the plane. I'm totally interested. I'm going to that. They like to be appreciated as being unique, as being different, and as being special. And so this is something that's very important when it comes to the self-expressive person. So where do you pull away because something doesn't feel like you? So you might have seen yourself more so in one of these or a few of these, and that's the point. You're not choosing randomly. You're choosing based on what feels safe for you. And that changes everything. So just take a second and think about which one stood out the most for you. Because for most people, it's not just one. You might see yourself in freedom, and security, belonging and competency. And all of these are pulling you in different directions at the same time. But typically, there's one that's the most predominant for people. And when the experiences that you're going through, the things that you're doing in your life, Sarah says freedom. Yeah. And so if you're in a situation where those things, other things are pushing up against your freedom, that's where we can go into one of the four coping stances. This is something that was described by Virginia Satir, who was a very famous family psychologist, who's a big contributor when it comes to neurolinguistic programming. The study around that was Richard Bandler and John Grinder started the NLP conversation. And Virginia Satir, Milton Erickson was a famous hypnotherapist. And then there was also, oh my goodness, Fritz Perls. And the four of these were the ones that were studied when it came to learning about NLP. And where was I going with that? Oh, Virginia Satir, who talks about when one of one of these drivers, people start to bump up against that in your life, will go into one of the four coping stances. And those are blame. And whenever I do a consult with a client, we talk about these and I point because I have them point at the wall, not at another person, and say, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. This is the reason these things are happening. I used to blame God, the universe, my family, religion, medicine, everything around my MS journey. And the longer I stayed in this coping stance, the longer it held me back from actually getting better. So blamer. Second is the pleaser. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. Whatever you want, it's yours. This is the pleaser. The third is the computer. If one were to analyze this, one would find this is the person that gets all caught in the details, overanalyzes everything. And the fourth is the distractor. Oh, look, a bird. This is the person that distracts themselves out of taking action, out of moving forward. And so when one of these five drivers, freedom, security, competency, belonging, and self-expressive, when things start to kind of threaten that or challenge you in whatever your primary one is, this is where we go into one of these coping stances. I wasn't planning to add that in this meetup today, but it's an important thing to understand, because how often do we get in a place in our life where we're just like feeling stuck and not moving forward and not able to act? Typically when that happens, it's because your driver is being challenged. And so how can we kind of move away from this? Okay. So this is where it gets really interesting. And most people stop here. They go, okay, that's me. So Sarah says freedom is the one that stands out for her the most. And this is often where, okay, it's good to know and it's good to be aware of, but that's not what changes everything. What changes things is seeing how this shows up in your patterns. Because if you don't see that, you'll keep trying to fix the behavior without understanding what's driving it. And behavior only happens because of what is driving it, the meaning that we place on things. This is where things start to shift. I had a client named Lisa, and Lisa was stuck in a cycle for years. Things would improve, then she'd fall off again. She thought it was discipline. But she had a strong freedom driver as well, and the rigid plans she was trying to follow just didn't work for her. So every time she tried, she felt restricted and she just pushed back. Not because she didn't care, but because it didn't match her. It didn't match how she operates. And when we shifted the approach, this gave her flexibility, and that cycle stopped. And I see this on the other side too. Another client I had named Stephanie, she kept overthinking things. She kept waiting. For her, it was security. She didn't feel sure yet. So instead of pushing and moving forward, we created certainty for her. Stephanie needed to feel safe, comfortable, and secure to be able to start taking any actions. And once that clicked for Stephanie, she moved forward fast. So this isn't about doing more. It's about doing it in a way that works for you. And when that part starts to move forward, that's the part that most people never figure out. When it comes to coaches and practitioners, like I work with coaches, I work with nutritionists, I work with personal trainers. They'll say, I'll give one plan to one client and it does fantastic. And I give it to another client and it just falls off the rails. And it's understanding how the person operates from a nervous system level to give them the support to move forward towards their goals in an easier way. how it shapes, right? So interesting. Okay. So, because understanding it is one thing, and then realizing how to apply it to you and how to get yourself moving towards where you want to go, this is exactly why I created something for this. I normally do work with clients. When I do, it's in a 10-hour or 10-week, sorry, breakthrough process. But this is a powerful place to start for anyone. This is where we take everything that you saw today and apply it directly to you, to your goals, to what's going on with you, to where you want to go in terms of your life. And so you can see what's driving your decisions, where you're getting stuck, and what's the next thing to shift to start moving forward. Because once you see that, you stop guessing and things start to move forward a lot more easily. When we are pushing up against our drivers, everything feels like force. When we start to work with it, things start to happen so much easier in our life. Rika, will there be a few minutes for Q&A? Absolutely, there will be. I made my presentation shorter today because I wanted to do more Q&A time because it's not all about me preaching. Okay, so it is $97 for the call with me, and I've opened up a small number of spots. This is just for people on this call. I typically don't offer a one-of call for people. So if you're thinking, okay, this explains a lot, like this is not a sales call. The point of this call is to help you understand what's your main driver and what are the next steps to take forward. This is a coaching session together. Valerie's going to drop the link for this in the chat, please. Yeah. So I will do Q&A in a moment, but if you're not there, if you're not ready for the call around this, that's totally okay. But if you are, and if you want clarity, go ahead and grab a spot. And if this really resonated, this is where you can stop thinking about it and actually get clarity. Okay. There's also the link in the chat. Maybe Valerie, you can drop the link again for the replay so people can watch this because I know I talked pretty fast, but it's really interesting to look again and think, okay, where does this show up for me? What is the biggest challenge or what is a challenge that I'm dealing with in my life right now? And how may it be a situation where it's just not aligning for me? Cool. All right. So if you would like to ask a question, Rika, I'm guessing you would, just put your hand up and Valerie will allow you to unmute. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Maybe if I can find it. Okay. You should be able to unmute now. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I thought I was already unmuted. Um, thank you so much. That was really helpful, and
Wonderful.
you were not too fast at all. I think you had a really good pace. I realized something when you were showing those drivers, and what if like for me, I know certainty is a huge driver, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
caused like a lot of issues, like like attachment theory, like everything, right? A lot of anxiety. But what if a bunch of those feed into that? So what if I want options and I want
Mm-hmm.
freedom because it gives me a feeling of certainty that I will get something, you know?
Okay.
Or like or maybe, like the the need to feel unique is it's like a human need, right? It's like a sense of ego and then but like when you feel special, maybe you think it will lead, like the brain is always predicting, right?
Yeah.
And like maybe you think that that will somehow lead to some kind of certainty of safety, you know? I don't
Yep.
know. I just realized like there were so many things. I think the only one I didn't connect with was the connection. But but
Belonging.
maybe at a certain point I would have in my life. I just think I'm, a lot older now, but and it's not relevant, but I realized it was like one driver, but like a bunch of those feed into that.
And to be honest, if I were to do like a quick read, which I do with every client, I would say competency for you because you're analyzing it.
Yeah, actually that was one, but like feeling competent gives me a feeling of certainty.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm like competent, then it's the probability is higher that I will feel safe and it's more certain. that I will
Exactly.
get what I want. Yeah.
Exactly. So if competency is number one, and it's, yeah, it's this like analyzing the situation and saying, like, okay, well, but does that give me certainty? Because certainty makes me feel safe. And then does that also give me freedom? And right. So it's like when you look at a situation, if you're able to analyze and kind of nitpick it, not in a bad way, but it's just like, does this check all my boxes? Right. So I would say competency is very high for you just from this quick conversation. It's just beautiful because you can look at things from a different way, right? Where it's like, oh, okay, well, that has a lot of the things that I want, but there's also some things that aren't, I'm not aligning with. Maybe it's something that it's like a for now and not a full-time thing, right? If you think of a job where you were disrespected or people just didn't value your input, I feel like that would be a challenge for you.
But then there was also this like, see, maybe like that was an also an on a like older version of me, right? Right now, I feel like whatever. Like I think I understand humans enough where I'm like, I get it, we all have different opinions based on your own experiences and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's like I keep thinking of the word certainty, right? And I feel like everything feeds into that. And that's what I think I need to ponder more in my head. I want to think about this, but
Certainty. I would think more
yeah.
security if it's certainty.
Yeah,
Uncertainty, I think
it's
of freedom.
definitely,
Yeah, because
yeah,
that's like a Tony Robbins talks about that stuff, right? Like certainty, uncertainty. There's oh my God, like contribution. I'm trying to remember because he has four, right?
right.
Anyways, they cross
Um,
over in a sense, right?
hmm
But it's just like, okay, what one is like it's an attack on me if I don't have that, or I don't feel like I could live if I don't have that. Some people, like the client that the meal plan was too rigid and strict for her. It felt like death to be in that like strict, narrow, no freedom. You take away the person's main driver, and that's how it can feel. It's like I can't survive like this. Think about a relationship. Like there's so many different ways, right?
but I identify with that so much. Like, the freedom part of it. Like for me, that would be restrictive too. I'm just like, no, I can't, how could I do that? Right. But then like, I feel like I could be disciplined and consistent with a routine or like, with variability. Right. So,
Hmm. So freedom.
like it's just, it's weird. It's like, like I can identify with so many and I've been in so many like freeze responses, like, like analysis
Hmm.
paralysis. So I had to do the work, right? To understand why do I keep getting stuck? And it was like a feeling of not feeling safe. Like I didn't have enough knowledge to move forward. I didn't feel good enough, and then, but like I wouldn't act, in the way that I needed to. But
Hmm.
it's just so interesting you mention all this because it's so relatable.
Because you'll see it around you. Just wait. I mean, you've already done a bunch of work, it sounds like, exploring this stuff. So you probably see it around you, right? It's like the saying, like, we can't read the label in the bottle when we're in the bottle. We see
Yeah,
other people going through patterns and going through these different things, and it's like, I can see what's happening there, but they can't because they're in it,
yeah.
right? So, yeah, cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Shabazz, am I pronouncing that right, hopefully?
Yeah, that's right. Hello, Kate. Thank you for the
Hi.
presentation. It was very informative, and thank you, Rika, for sharing your thoughts. I could relate to that quite a bit. I feel the need for a sense of certainty
Hmm.
all the time as well too, and I take a lot of time to make decisions in my life, or even if I have to commit to something, I generally will give it a long period of thought before I say it out loud or I write it or give it in writing, whether it's over an email or a text, like even with a friend. Oftentimes it's like, oh, I'll get back to you just to make sure that I can I can make it for that specific time and
Hmm.
that I'm not the one flip-flopping or whatever. Like just the idea that I could be flip-flopping or doing something that I don't want to do actually stresses not doing something I don't want to do, but not being able to do something that I committed to,
Said you were gonna do. Yeah.
yeah, stresses me out. So um, I think you tried to make a connection between certainty and freedom, or I think you said that the two were connected, which
I'd say
doesn't
certainty is security. I would connect
certainty.
certainty and security. Yeah.
And did you say that any of them were related to freedom?
Uncertainty and
Okay,
freedom.
I see. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I guess a question that I had after sitting through some of the presentation, I joined late, but
Hmm.
it was that, well, how do you, one of the slides said that you should, that it will come through recognizing your own patterns or something like that. How
Hmm.
do you begin to recognize your own patterns? Like I guess, yeah, that's my question. I feel like I'm going to ramble if I add anything else to it.
I mean, that's mostly the work that I do with clients. When I send the summary for this, I'm actually going to send you like a short, not cert, well, I guess kind of survey so you can start to see what your patterns are and how they're showing up for you. Because yeah, it's you can I can see it in clients, I see it in people at networking groups, like I see it all over the place, and it's just like, how is this causing problems? Because it is going to do a lot of good in your life as well. Like these patterns, these drivers are there to keep us safe ultimately and to give us what we want. But it's like, where is it causing problems for you in your life, and how can you start to either kind of work to like improve and strengthen other areas, because like I said, we all have all five of these, but one of them is going to be your predominant one. I'm competency and freedom. Freedom is secondary for me. Like if someone like challenges me or tries to kind of one up or like the kind of big dog like push me out of the way in terms of a conversation, or it doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good in my body. But it's like, okay, what are the other areas that I could strengthen so that it's not such an attack when that happens. You know what I mean? So if for you, security is something that's really important, needing to make sure that you know all the details, that you're not going to flip flop on plans, that you're going to be able to go forward with that. In a lot of areas of your life, that's going to serve you really well. Where is it showing up as a challenge for you, and how can you do some work to strengthen some of the other ones just so that they support each other? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense because when I was answering like the brief survey question just to join the meetup, I think it was a multiple choice and you just got
Hmm.
to pick one. And I was like, I feel that I can't really pick one was kind of my problem, and it makes sense now that you've said it that we have um, that we have a lot of these
Hmm.
within us, and some are just stronger than others. So thank you
Exactly.
for that insight.
You're welcome. Nisha,
Hi,
hello.
this is really helpful. Also, kind of reminds me of your previous seminar on competing beliefs a little bit,
Hmm.
as well. Because for that one, I identified expansion and safety as my competing beliefs. So that might play into this as well. But could each of these or different areas of life, like relationships or diet, have like different main drivers. For instance, like for food, I'm freedom because like right now I'm procrastinating going to the dietitian because
Hmm.
I don't know when I'll feel ready because every time I've gone, it feels very limiting. And I feel like I can't eat the same food and again. I just get tired and I give up.
Yeah.
But then for like work, I feel it's security because I want certainty that I'll be able to make a living. And then relationships is more about belonging because I want the connection. Um, and so on. So I'm wondering, is it just one main driver for all areas of life?
Typically
Or
speaking, yes. The drivers are something that as humans, we're born and we have one primary and one secondary. There's another part of NLP, it's called meta programs, and that is very flexible. So in different situations, you may lean into one thing more than the other. And be interested to have a conversation with you around that, because it's like, okay, so in you want freedom when it comes to the diet nutrition. I wonder if that's actually safety. If there's something safe, you feel unsafe when you're restricted, which could be what's showing up there, right? In terms of relationships, if you feel unsafe because security is your number one driver when there's not connection, you know what I mean? So it's often there is
oh,
one primarily under, but it's how it represents in different situations.
it's
Does that make
interesting you
sense?
said that because safety is my protector, and then expansion is the other part of me based on your other webinar that I identified.
Yep.
So maybe that kind of relates to this as well.
Could
That
be
safety might be my main driver, and then the expansion part of me might relate to
secondary.
freedom,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though they're contradictory, but that is my contradictory belief.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always, well, we always have two, right? Typically, we don't have security and freedom because they are contradictory, like they'll fight each other a little bit, but it's like how it's showing up for you because it could be competency. Security is number one, and then competency is number two, and it's or self-expressive, and it's like how it's representing in your life. It's very interesting to stuff to explore
Um,
because then it's just like, oh, now I understand why that didn't work. I can look back now and I'm like, now I understand why all those relationships didn't work. That makes a lot of sense because it just doesn't align with who I am, my personality, right?
oh, I see. Okay.
Cool.
Interesting conversation. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Anyone else have any questions? Well, thank you everyone for being here again. As always, I think this is the fourth meetup that I've done, and I'm just having fun with them. I did this one today mostly because I friggin' love talking about this stuff, and I figured why not? Maybe other people will enjoy it too, and it seems like you did get some value from it, which is great.